Hey guys, it's Drax back with some Ghost Recon Wildlands news, and this is Title Update 2 to be exact. This has gone live today, the 22nd of March on PC. You can download it right now, and PS4 and Xbox One will get their update tomorrow, the 23rd. It's about 3GB in size on the console and 5GB on the PC. So what have they changed? So we're going to start with some of the bigger changes, and for starters, they're now allowing you to turn the radio off by default. You can go into the options menu in audio, and I think it's at the bottom. You can turn the radio off completely, and that's quite a blessing because the songs weren't that great and neither was the information, which they repeatedly told you. Hopefully in future we can get our own radio station like they did something like on GTA, where we can turn that on and drive around with that instead. That would be a good thing that maybe Ubisoft could add in the future. And for the second point, we'll be looking at the Rebel vehicle drop scale. They now allow you to drop in whatever vehicle you choose. This was quite annoying before when you could only get a heli and you saw a convoy and you thought, well, the heli's not going to be as good as that truck that I had before, but I can't spawn it in anymore. Well, now you can get that SUV back with the mounted Gatling gun on top, and you can go after those convoys. So enjoy, and thank you Ubisoft for this change. For the hardcore players with their HUD off who had issues with Intel collection before, Ubisoft has now made some changes. Well, before, when you went up to an Intel board or a laptop or you interrogated a lieutenant, you wouldn't get the option of, say, pick up weapon accessories or the Rebel drop sites. Instead, you would just have a blank space, and you kind of had to remember what the options were before 1, 2 or 3. It wasn't too hard to remember, but it was still kind of an issue. So what Ubisoft have done, they now allow you to turn on Intel Collection when you have the HUD off, and you can see the option here under HUD. And what that allows you to do is when you go up to a board, it will then pop up with the options, and you can click the one that you want. So it's just something that Ubisoft thought of, and maybe players were suggesting on the forums that could help the more hardcore players amongst us. Some missions were not unlocking for some players correctly. Well, that should be now fixed, and they've also added missions that are replayable. I guess they were enjoyable, so they've made them replayable. So now we're going to be looking at certain sections of the game. And first up, we're going to be looking at connectivity. Various disconnection bugs and issues where players could not connect to a previous session should now be fixed. I've had friends that have dropped from my session and not been able to connect for quite a while afterwards, or I've had to join their session, so that should now be fixed, and that's a good change. Onto gameplay, and bikes weren't slowing down in the water before. Well, they are now, I can guarantee that, as you can see at the end of this clip. But first up, we're looking at these game over when falling off a dirt bike. This was quite a funny moment when you come off you hit a little tiny rock, you went flying forward, face plant to the ground, and it was insta death. Well, that's been changed, and as you can see, I'm running over some terrain here trying to hit rocks, and it looks like I just bounce off the rocks now. Maybe they've changed that altogether, you don't fall off at all. But also you see the change here where I go into the water and I don't really speed through it, it just stops dead. So on to audio, and on top of the ability to mute all radio, we also have an amplified Auswenio's voice on the radio to avoid you confusing his voice with one of the ghosts. Now, I never had this issue myself. I didn't ever think that one of the ghosts was on the radio. I think Auswenio's voice was quite distinct in a way, but apparently people were having some issue with this, so that's been changed and he's been amplified, so he should sound a little bit more scary on the radio. Looking at graphics, and the main points I've picked out here is that drone showing blur effects on objects is now fixed. I was having issues with the drone mainly, and mission textures in certain environments. Now I had the tunnel issue where when I would look into a tunnel, it would look like a graphical blur, kind of staticky. Well, that's been fixed now, and you can look around the world in all its beautiful detail. World glitches such as building glitches and places where you could get stuck, ditches, because of there being no jump button, should be mostly removed or fixed. Now I've gone back to a place here in Montiuk where I remember getting stuck in the open beta, and it looks like the ditch has been filled in. Obviously some builders have come along and filled it in with some dirt, or maybe Ubisoft just patched it and made the ground level a bit higher. Either way, you can no longer get stuck there. I've also went around the map in a few areas between some rocky areas, and I haven't found many ditches or anything where you're not going to be able to jump out of because of the no jump button. Maybe we'll get a jump button in future, that might be an easier fix, but for now they've just filled in the holes. So let's go on to some PC specific changes, and first up we're looking at graphics, and they've now added an SMAA anti-aliasing mode, and that looks pretty good. Just playing around with it here, don't see too much difference, but it's pretty smooth. They've also addressed flickering issues in multi-GPU setups for those of you that have that going on. Co-op, and the issue with co-op sharing of systematic abilities should now be fixed. When someone clicks on something, you should also be able to join. Sometimes that wasn't quite working right. Performance, random crashes addressed, and fixed issues with the massive frame rate drop when the saving icon pops up. Well, that's been fixed, but the issue with the Nvidia Shadow Play, there's still an issue going on there, and that seems to crash my game more than anything else. So hopefully that will get fixed shortly. But frame rate drop, if you were receiving that when the saving icon popped up, that is now a thing of the past. There's also been some other miscellaneous changes, bits and bobs here and there. There's a lot of changes, 5GB worth of updates on the PC, 3GB on console is a good deal, and Ubisoft have really paid attention to what we've been saying in the forums, and they've took action and they've made the game better. Positive change for Ghost Recon Wildlands, and I hope to see more of these updates in the future. I feel like the game can go a long way, and it's a very, very good game as it stands, and they can make it even better for the players. So I'll link the patch notes in the description, and if you found this video helpful or informative, please give it a like and subscribe for more content. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.